All right, welcome back, everybody, to another podcast here. I think some of you might be the first podcast we're kind of listening into. We told everybody last week our plan was on Friday afternoon there, but I'd say we were up at New York Farm Show there. But we had a pretty good turnout, I think, overall, especially at lunch or so. It seemed like the booth filled up pretty good. You got good conversation started, and yeah, every day. The reason we didn't get the podcast done on Friday, we had a couple customers there. We were talking a couple hours after. So
closing was at 4:00. I think we left there about 10 minutes till 6.
Yeah.
So it was good meeting. So
yeah, without a doubt. No, I think just kind of start this one out. Just kind of discuss trends we saw there at the farm show. I'd say, like you said, great outcome for us. Us with a new name company.
New name. I think what really drew people in with us was our history, right? So we had some of the family memorabilia from the Dobler days and so forth there, and it was amazing. It was kind of neat to see the people, not only old timers like me that recognized it, but people your age or even younger that recognized the name, whether their grandfather, their dad raised it or whatever. And it was actually very cool. It kind of helps us with the trust factor a little bit, and kind of then we can get in and talk about what their challenges are and help them out. I thought it was, for us, I thought it was a great meeting. It was interesting to hear the other vendors complain that not the turnout they were looking for, people walking by their booths. But I thought we stayed pretty darn busy. Like you were saying, from 11 o'clock on, it seemed to be suddenly the day just zipped by.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest trends we found is obviously age group of the guys that are actually stopping. Definitely the older generations and that were stopping, but mostly they saw the old Dobler memorabilia stuff at our booth. And like you just said, it kind of started the conversation each time, which is kind of fun to see.
New York State's an interesting state because of all the big dairies, and the big dairies are getting bigger. And we had a number of smaller Pennsylvania farms that came up as well, which was nice to see, and I appreciate people the turnout that they had overall. But the trend, one of those trends that you mentioned there was the fact that the big, whether you want to call them corporate dairies or large even family dairies up there are getting bigger. They're gobbling up more land. They need more land to feed the cattle. A lot of former dairies are now raising heifers or beef cattle or both, to kind of fill those needs. But I thought that was pretty interesting, and it was also interesting to me to hear kind of how disgruntled some of the smaller farms are.
They feel forgotten.
Yeah,
that was a big trend.
Yeah, it was interesting because it wasn't just on the seed sales. Obviously, that's what we were primarily there for. But it sounds like they're not getting the attention even from the chemical people, and even more so, even builders and so forth that are busy doing putting on the big free stalls and so forth with some of those large dairies.
Yeah, that seemed to be. They're the frustrated guys. It was the smaller, what we would normally consider an average farm. I think even in PA we'd consider them pretty large farms up there. I mean, some guys were saying 200-300 acres, but they're just they're not getting the attention like these guys coming in, and big guys getting bigger. I mean, that's the mindset up that way right now is what it seems to be. I think the biggest point to make is the amount of orders that are out on the table right now. In the industry.
Normally don't see it this time of the year. The opportunity is still there, even on the row crop. Products. Normally we, soybeans wise, you'll sell a pile of soybeans in the spring, but typically your seed corn and stuff has been pre-purchased, on the pre-order programs, and there's a lot of people that's still looking for seed.
Yeah, especially at least for some of their acres, but a lot of guys didn't put any order in yet. So, no, I think another big topic, and I think we can dive in a little bit more on, is just the another trend we saw is the guys asking for earlier day options, and I think it must be we see it on our level, but at the same time, it's interesting to hear the frustration. It's a good thing that they're catching on to this. But is the earlier day corn kind of the focal point on it? They're losing options. There's fewer and fewer every year, I guess I should put it.
I think a lot of the Midwest companies aren't really paying attention to that, and there's a lot of the companies are pretty strong, with their maturities, 95 day and up. It's when you get below 95 day and maturities where they seem to be struggling, to be less options out there. I know a lot of companies were already running out of seed in those maturity ranges, which is kind of crazy. But I think a lot of it's just the focal point of the seed companies themselves.
Yeah. I mean, and the selling factor that they're hearing in the industry too, I think, isn't emphasized enough either. Especially with the, some of these guys actually don't need the triple stacks or the Duracade options, and they're getting convinced that that's the only way they, really we know that's the only way that company has it available. But a lot of these guys it's fun. The guys that brought it up to us, and there's a lot out there, so if you're listening to this, I mean, I would definitely ask yourself if you need these traits, That's why we have a full conventional lineup option, and that's how we do our selection. We do off the genetics first and then pull in traits as we need it. But I think traits are getting used where traits don't need to be used.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked, it was amazing. It's amazing to me, and we also at the Keystone Farm show, there last month, or I guess now it's been early January. But even there is how many people know of a hybrid by the hybrid and don't even know what traits it possesses. Which is kind of crazy to me. But that's if we want these traits to continue to work and so forth, truthfully, we need to be paying attention and using them where they're needed and not using them where they're not. And certainly here in our area, I don't think we're seeing quite not even seeing near the insect issues as what we used to see on the above ground side of things. Yeah. I think on the below ground side, it's actually getting maybe a little bit worse, but I think a lot of that is the fact that people are using the technology almost too much.
Yep, the resistance is getting built up.
It is, and then with people trying to back down on the use of neonics and things like that now, and along with that, we're finding now with our below ground, we still ideally have up to a cruiser max or a poncho 500 rate seems to be about the rate we still need to have with those hybrids to get the control that
on the big corn acres.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when it's not corn after corn, especially if it's a rotation with hay and things like that, that's out of corn for a couple of years. Truthfully, people really need to be looking at the conventionals, I think, for some of that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, a lot of people listening to this probably think we're talking crazy, but honestly, I mean, the conventionals in general, they just aren't pushed anymore. So it's fun, the guys coming up to us to bring up conventionals, because now we're talking the same language. But how do you get a lot of guys to look that way? I don't know.
Most of the people came up that talked about conventionals were those that are organic or, or non-GMO, which is fine. We appreciate the conversations, but at the same token, there's not many that even think about using the conventional in their rotation anymore.
Yeah.
We got pretty reliant on the use of glyphosate and glufosinate.
Yeah, we abused it. Yeah, I think we all see that. We're still using it. I don't know what the answer is to it as of right now, but I think the biggest thing is just relating it back to, not to go down a rabbit hole with it, but just the whole cover crop side, know your soil focus. I mean, I think once you start looking that direction, you start realizing, I mean, we talked to the gentleman that we had spoken to so long on Friday night. That was a fun conversation because he's newer on the row crop side, and I think he hit the nail on the head with a lot of points when it came to basically he's learning, number one, how to farm, the right way, what blah, blah, blah. Biggest thing I said back to him is we can tell you, with all our testing and stuff we do here, it might help you get ahead of the game on it, but there's nobody out there that can tell you, to do this and it's going to make a huge impact on your farm. You got to figure that out yourself as you go with it. But, I think in general. I mean, the amount of bug in the jug companies that are out there.
Goodness. That seemed to be the biggest, I would say the biggest trend of increased vendors there were definitely those companies.
It was crazy. We didn't get time to really walk around. We walked around on, what was that, Saturday morning, to kind of see all the buildings, see the vendors, and it was just, we just look at each other like, wow, there's a lot of those small companies put most of their money out is obviously in the marketing side, but, us not being in that industry and trying to sell bug in the jug products, and what I mean by bug in the jug is, the one product solution for your farm is not a thing, especially on the biological side. There's a lot of factors that play into it, and that's the fun part to me. Once we get in deep into those conversations, but they're out there selling products like, oh, this is the answer. It'll change your whole. You don't have to do anything else with it. Just apply this at this rate, and it's doing this. And I think I used the terminology there, and that kind of stuck with me there. But I think I especially can be those companies, best friend if the product works. But through us testing all these bug in the jug products here, I can also be their worst enemy with. Oh
yeah, I mean, there's so much of this stuff that they're putting in there is stuff you don't really, you may not need in your environment.
Right.
Maybe need it somewhere else, but not here. So the perfect combination of those things doesn't necessarily fit everybody, obviously.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the companies that we're currently have a little bit more excitement in regards to that you can get the product separate and actually. Off a tissue sample, see what you actually need and fill that.
On the micro side, yeah. But the biologicals in general, I mean, I don't know how they're out there selling just biologicals and not a whole package with the cover crop program in it, because, it might do something to that row crop, but what are you getting your return out of it if you don't have living roots in that system? So that's the biggest conversation piece we had with guys that brought that up, but no, I appreciate that conversation with that guy.
The other thing I thought was interesting too, and not just with them, but with some of the other conversations, is how many people are trying to make the cover crops work. So there's not the initiatives out there. There's what there once was, and they're still recognizing whether it's a cover crop. And truthfully, up there, because we're dealing with so many livestock producers, a lot of them are looking at spring forage option as well to go along with that. Still works as a cover crop, which is important, but they need to get that plant a little bit earlier than what they had done in the past. So that could be part of the issue, or I shouldn't say issue, but part of the challenge why somebody are looking for some of those earlier hybrids. Yeah, is just because they're making some changes on their place and maybe haven't forecasted that to their current seed providers. But we're listening.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's kind of relates to why Northeast is different.
It is a different monster.
So it's
so when you go in the Midwest and you talk to the companies out there, most of those are dealing with a maturity range difference of about 10 days. Say it might be a 100 to 110 day hybrid or range, or they might be a 105 to 115 day range. Yeah, we're 78 day to 117 day range. Yeah. So it is it's a spread. It's a difference of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. That is probably the biggest overall conversation with guys that got it, to the nitty gritty with these topics. They're just trying to figure it out, and
every scenario is different. Yeah, that's part of the reason we put this big mixer in here that we did, so we can do these custom mixes and so forth. I mean, every situation is going to be a little bit different, and the neighbor could be different in one field to the next field. You wish it was a simple, you just had one mix that covers everything. Yeah. Boy, that'd make everybody's life more, a lot more simple.
Well, and I think there's we know a lot of really good salesmen out there, but a lot of those guys don't know their product. A lot of the companies don't know their product. If they're out there selling
you're talking about order takers.
Yeah. So, I mean, if your sales guy's out there saying, oh, yeah, just do this, and not asking you all these questions, why do we go into these long conversations that we're talking about here with these guys? Because we actually care what actually ends up as their final product with it. So, when they're going in and not asking you, oh, well, when do you typically, a silage guy, when do you think you're getting out there to start harvesting? Come up with a formulation then, okay, what do you want in the springtime? Are you looking for southern part of the state, it's a whole different conversation. They might get a harvest out of it in the fall. there's a vast difference from state to state, but especially even, valley to valley. I mean, it all changes.
Sure
And
does.
I think the order takers out there are kind of, I don't know what the word for it is.
Well, the problem is that there's not many good seedsmen out there,
Yeah.
to guide you. So I think a lot of it is just order taking. Okay, hey, this is what you ordered last year. You want to get the same thing without the discussion, and that's part of the challenge. I feel for the farmer when it comes to that, because in a lot of cases they're being misguided.
Yeah. But how often did drone usage get brought up? And
and then how many times did we bring it up if it wasn't brought up?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I actually felt bad for the
gentleman there on Friday evening.
Bought the spray coop and all that, and he was pretty excited about the spray coop, but it doesn't fit everything he wants to do. And we're like, drone.
Well, we're spoiled here, just being able to be, that unbiased answer, I guess. There's no right answer. That's the fun part about it. Like every scenario is different, and that's why these conversations go so long. But the basic sense of it is, when the timing of when you want to apply. We're talking about putting forages or cover crops into standing corn here is basically what we're talking about. And I think the timing is a big point. Your seed guide talking you through all of this, from the hybrid selection, maturity, but the whole way up to, how you're applying. Another big point we brought up that, most of the guys' eyes got real big was what pre-emergent are you using? We're not in the chemical business, but that's a big question from our heirs here at the research
Nor do we
farm.
want to be for anybody that's out there in the ag chem business. So we would be, we don't want to be in that
We
business.
rely on you guys as well. Yeah. The chemical guys as well. But you got to ask those questions and if you're, and I guess that's the point when we say order takers, they're not asking at all of that. And even if they know their products, if they're not talking you through all of this, I think that's the biggest miscommunication piece that comes out of it. Because we see the benefits. We do a lot of testing with the drone usage. We're spoiled with it. And I think the drone awareness in general, I mean, even some of those guys out in the middle of nowhere, they're having options. You say, oh, do you have a drone guide near you? Oh, I can get so-and-so down, They're just blowing up.
We did also break down and buy another
drone.
We
bought another drone. Yeah.
So for ourselves and for our research here. So we get some help with it a little bit and some of the research we're doing for other companies and so forth. So it'll be well worth it. But it was a tough one.
Yeah. No, we break down to if we just want to talk about kind of the cattle guys. I think BMR corn was brought up a lot.
The fact that
it's going out.
It's going out, So a lot of them had their last supply, a strong supply of the BMR. There are other companies that are playing with the BMR, for the increased digestibility out there. Though I think one thing we've learned over the last 15, 20 years is the fact that the BMR corns had some agronomic issues, and I think that has been recognized. And rather than continue to fight through that, they kept breeding more agronomics into the BMR corn. Then as they do that, now suddenly a lot of the white midrib, your typical midrib corns, are now competing with it on digestibility, but getting a lot better starch options and things like that to help with milk or meat production.
Yep. Yeah.
So and we're seeing that, so the kind of the neat thing too that's come about because of that backing out, there's a little more interest in going back and looking at high oils and waxy corns and so forth. So I know in our testing program, we're looking at a number of hybrids, silage specific hybrids, to help with that over time.
Yeah. Yep. And then one thing I was amazed about is how many soybean guys are up, up around that. Well, I guess we talked to everybody all over.
In beans in the last 10 years. I'm showing my age again, but I sold seed for 20 plus years, never sold a bag of soybeans. And you couldn't do that up in New York and even the northern tier of PA and central Pennsylvania. There's more and more beans being put in. Works great within a rotation. Obviously, we can get carried away with just doing the beans corn rotation, but it has been a good option.
Mm-hmm.
And then the improvements on the beans. I mean, obviously, we all know the high leg beans have kind of reached another level of interest out this way,
Yep.
and in some case, rightfully so. We're heading that direction, and as well as others in regards to some of the selections for some of that to help out as well.
Yep. Yeah. No. Yeah. So I'd say overall, my mentality on what we kind of the feedback we're hearing, but kind of solidified there, being able to discuss one-on-one with guys at the booth at the show, is the guys that are interested in the whole, I think the whole regenerative farming, it turns a lot of the big guys away because they're getting, I think it's pushed the wrong way with a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of companies.
Yeah, if you get online and you look look at the definition of regenerative farming, and then you'll see pictures of Gabe Brown, Ray Archuleta, and so forth, which are guys that I've worked with in the past and have utmost respect for. But sometimes if you watch the when they talk, and then it's okay, fence in all your acres and put cows on your acres, go 60-inch rows, and do all this stuff. You kind of go, okay, that's all new equipment. That's all new way of farming. You can't just flip a switch and go to that.
Right.
So there's some
definitely a practical approach to it.
Yeah. So that's part of our goal is to try to find that common sense approach that makes sense with today's farming, and kind of head that direction.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing, and that kind of to relate back to what I already discussed there is a lot of those companies put a lot of emphasis, especially on the younger generation. And let's face it, younger generations are taking over these big farms. I mean, whether you're actually involved in the family, I mean, unfortunately, especially in Pennsylvania, I'm sure it's the same where every state, but a lot of the grandkids don't want to be involved in the farm aspect. Move away, want the prettiest penny for what they. There's no tie to the land, I guess, and it is sad in many ways.
It is sad.
But I think
that's sad. Solar farms on farmland.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yep.
I'm not going to jump my box on that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
How I feel
your
about
political spiel on it. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think just when I say I think it's getting pushed the wrong direction. It's not that. I mean, we have a company called Regen Ag Seed, so. I mean, we believe in it. It's just how do you take the baby steps to get there? And I think, a lot of these, we refer to bug in the jug companies, not just with biologicals, but biologicals is obviously the trending hot topic right now.
People are understanding now. I think they're starting to understand that soil is not dirt.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to build soil, and we need to get soil to it's a living atmosphere, for microbiology and so forth, and so I think that
I think
stage
that and
of
the
it is
economy
becoming more understandable. But
the economy definitely is helping with guys opening their eyes to it because they're trying to put as many.
I think it helps and it hurts, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes when things are tough, how even when I run this place here, when things get tough, sometimes you just pull in,
Yep.
and you kind of go, okay, I'm not going to make any changes. I'm going to. I have to cheapen this up. I have to be very frugal here. And I think the farm economy does this exact same thing. So now you want to add in cover crops and do things, and it gets scary to them at times. And I think it's because they watch, some of that stuff on television and see, I have to do it all or do nothing. No, we don't. We can do things in baby steps, and we can make things, work to where it's not going to cost you.
Yeah. I think the biggest issue we have right now in our world of agriculture is just the fact that a lot of guys want to cut back inputs, but not put them in the right spot. Basically, I don't know how many times we emphasize this week when we start talking pretty in depth with some of these guys. Great conversations, but they, I think to them, they're stuck into, I need to dish out, 200, 250 units of nitrogen. No matter what, and I think if we look at, it's proven corn doesn't need most of its nutrients till later in the year if we're just talking about corn, but this goes for a lot of crops. But right. I think the awareness is starting to get out there going, okay, but that missing piece is, all right, let's fix your return on investment. Let's not add something else to this program, and that's where I think that's the missing piece. I mean, a lot of farmers are sitting there going, "Well, that's another expense I got to put into this." Blah blah blah. You know, I think there you have the guys on one extreme making it seem so easy and simple. You get intimidated very fast. I mean, let's face it. That's why we're sitting here saying you can't just jump into it. But at the other side, you know, I think guys are just not getting the right line of information to slowly get to that point. Even if you do want to get to that point, I mean, it depends on the ground. It depends on your soil. You know, what's in your soil. You know, and the amount of guys that still have not done soil samples and
It's crazy.
let alone tissue sample. I mean, I'm talking tissue samples, and they're kind of cross-eyed. But you know, especially on the soil sample side, it's wow. Like, all right, we got an issue.
Take the time. You don't necessarily have to go out and grid your whole field. A good starting step is let's get a soil test.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's
if you can do that on a per 5 acre basis or something, like, you know, across your fields, that would be a great step.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Then from there,
And then you can build your roadmap. You know,
Yeah.
now you have a map in front of you. Now you can make your budget. You can do, you know, you can foresee what you're going to be needing, and then you can, and then if you have access to drone technology and so forth, now you can come in and even do tissue samples and come over top. I mean, you know, truthfully, I've learned a lot just in the last couple of years with what you've done here and on the research farm and things.
Oh, and that's why I keep doing it. I mean, that's the fun part. That's why I keep saying, and I said it how many times there this week, the last week. The fun part is, like, nobody has the 100% correct answer, and that's the fun part. Is kind of, okay, how do we speed this process up? Help you get to that mindset of by bringing you with us, and that's why we do all the testing. Now on the back end, we do it too. We see our response of our own hybrids selections. Which
is amazing as well. That just how certain hybrid combinations work better with certain certain foliars and you name it.
Even the bait. I mean, yeah, we can go down that. If you that's
a whole nother.
Yeah, if you got an order taker, it's not. You don't even need to get into those conversations. I'd be impressed if they got into these conversations, but. You know, if they're not even talking about population, how many times did population get brought up?
Holy cow.
I mean, the fact that if you're getting a new hybrid placed on your farm, and if you ask them, well, first off, I challenge you to ask them, you know, what population is this, you know,
it's amazing to me how many farmers just run one population on their entire farm.
Or how many stories do we hear that a lot of farms didn't even know how to change populations?
So I mean, every hybrid is going to have you need to ask those questions and set your planters up according to your seedsman's recommendations on each individual product, and that goes with corn. But truly, it goes across the board on a lot of other things as well. But you know, we have certain corn hybrids that are true flex type hybrids that react extremely well at low populations.
Yep.
And we're not pushing populations like that. So in low populations, we're talking 26,000 populations.
It's a lot of seed to save.
It is. Yeah. And truthfully, it's not only that you don't get your bang for your buck by raising the population up to what, you know, maybe what the breeders are recommending or what the big companies are recommending, but you're actually losing on yield and on quality, you know, so you have to find
increasing.
You got it. Yeah. So you have to find that perfectness and vice versa. If you have a true, you know, determinate type, a fixed type hybrid that really works well at about, 36,000 population, don't bring the population down. You know, you're just going to lose.
But ask the questions.
Ask the questions and be willing to change, hop off, and change the sprockets to change your populations. It's really not that difficult.
Yeah. Well, and the big guys, you know.
Big guys today, you push a button.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, I think. It's just asking questions, you know, quiz your sales guy. I don't care who you're buying seed from. I mean, test them. I mean, you're buying and traded stuff, $300, $400, $500 bag of seed corn. I don't know why there's not enough questions being asked, and I think that's the point that we're trying to make here. But yeah, no, I think kind of a base here. we're getting up there close to 30 minutes here on this podcast. But I think just to kind of cover what we're seeing, what we're going to kind of keep diving into. If there's any of you out there that want us to kind of highlight a little bit more on some of these details, we'd love to. So you just reach back out, on YouTube. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you can obviously comment. If you're listening on Spotify, I don't know. We haven't posted anything on Spotify yet. I don't know if you can comment or not, but we'll see
do
here.
That.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah. So yeah, reach out though. If you guys want any, like I said, we're Stand with the Farmer podcast. We're trying to keep basically the unbiased decision tree of our industry.
Show
and
them our logo.
Yeah, we have a new logo we just came out with. So we're gonna be going out and getting some stuff made with it on. And I think the one last point, I think it was awesome the amount of younger generation guys especially, but even, I mean, some of them shocked me, but they were, man, you guys should make a podcast. And it's funny, Mm-hmm. So we're excited to get things up and going here, and we're gonna break down the goods and bads that we're seeing here, and most of it's gonna be test related because that's kind of our business mindset, just focusing on the Northeast.
But give a little more insight in the seed industry.
In the industry in general, and bring guys on, get some guys tapped in here on the phone calls and some of the professionals in the industry and whatnot.
We'll even be doing trends in regards to what's going on even in the small seed industry and how it may affect price of products and all that type of stuff as we move forward. So now we have a heads up and understand what's happening. So I think, and we're looking forward to this.
Yep. So we'll wrap this one up here, and we'll see you guys next time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.